Hey guys, and welcome to my thoughts and first impressions on the 4th Elite Dungeon and the Zamorak boss. So whenever you're ready, grab your cup of tea, sit back, relax, and enjoy. If you enjoy all kinds of Runescape content and want to stay updated with the recent news, be sure to subscribe. Alright, let's start by talking about the Elite Dungeon before the Zamorak boss because it is quite the thing to talk about. This definitely doesn't feel like a normal Elite Dungeon because of its maze-like feel. And when I say maze-like feel, I'm not even kidding, because some parts of this Elite Dungeon don't even seem like areas you would normally be able to walk through, but you can. And I'll be honest, it was quite frustrating to find my way through the first time around. It took me over 1 hour and 30 minutes just because, well, I was doing it solo and I had no clue where I was going. Now, I already had a headache due to high fever, which was thankfully lowered with some medicine, but this dungeon just really made it worse. It doesn't help that the dungeon doesn't have any other bosses other than the final boss, which is Zamorak, because you only have mini bosses, so every mini boss icon on your screen could be, you know, the next one you have to kill, because you need to kill 2 of them to progress through the dungeon itself. One of them is the jailer boss located in the prison area, which is super confusing to get to because it didn't seem like this hole was an entrance at first. But it is, and even going up the stairs looks a little weird. Speaking of the mini boss itself, I thought it was bugged, but it turned out the first mini boss just teleports to the floor above you. And then after that, after, dealing a good amount of damage, he teleports to the scaffolding. And then after him teleporting one final time, you'll have to kill him downstairs on the ground floor. And then the barrier on the first floor will open up for you to move on to the next section. Now, before you can get to the second mini-boss, you need to open up 2 barriers in front of this cathedral, which you can do by clicking on 2 pylons. Now, I didn't know this at first, and even by asking in different Twitch chats, I was still a little bit confused, and it took me quite long to figure out. Even though my first run, I'd pretty much cleared every single mob in the area, for some reason the pylons, they just didn't stand out to me for whatever reason. But yeah, you just have to kill some mobs, open up 1 or 2 barriers-ish, click on both the pylons, left and right of the cathedral, and then you'll be able to go inside. Now, the next mini-boss, known as Eterna the Ritual Leader, is not really a mini-boss. Now, it is a mini-boss, but this boss will take you out quickly, and it killed me twice, and it killed me really quickly at that. She will yell something like, "Chaos will reign supreme," and then you'll see these little chaosy icons or crowns moving towards you, and they will disappear if they hit you. But yeah, when they hit you, boom, you take a huge amount of damage, and I did not expect that from a mini-boss, I'm not really even sure why, they didn't just make these actual bosses, because this fight is very tough, and this is just in normal mode, right? The attacks are very, very punishing, and there's 3 different phases. First, she jumps up after going to HP, she'll spawn a demon, then you'll see her again, then she'll spawn 2 demons, and then finally you'll be able to finish her off. But yeah, the tactic I used was simply to stand in one side of the room on one line and use a power burst of vitality or resonance to reduce the amount of hits or damage you take from those little chaos crowns on the floor. And by doing this, you won't get hit by the chaos crowns as often, because once they do disappear and hit you on your line you're standing on, you won't get any more on that line until she spawns more. Oh yeah, and be sure to keep your health high, of course. Now, the loot from the Elite Dungeon seems to be fairly good throughout, even if you skip all the things you don't need to open normally, as in my second run I made around 6 million GP from the trash loot, which isn't too bad at all. Alright, let's talk about the Zamorak boss, which is quite the challenge even in normal mode. Now, what I do is I like to charge up the pads once I start the fight, as this is how you get some of the buffs early on, and then just basically try and do as much damage as possible. Now, each of these pads has a certain effect, which I'll be covering in a full guide, which I'll hopefully make somewhere this week, because this will definitely take some time. This boss has a lot of mechanics, and it can KO you easily with some normal ones as well, like this melee attack, where if you don't flick to your melee prayer, you'll take a huge amount of damage, even in normal mode, and this can KO you. Another really dangerous mechanic, and I believe this is what most players have been dying to, is where Zamorak will enclose himself within his wings, and you'll see this orange bar charging up by going blue, and once it fully becomes blue, or you stun Zamorak and deal a certain amount of damage, because you can launch it early, you'll get some kind of red smoke cloud attack at you, which will do anywhere from like 10 to 12,000 damage, I believe. basically instant killing most players unless you're full health with tank arm and a bonfire boost. Thankfully, you can reduce the amount of damage you take by using Debilitate, Reflect, Resonance even works here. Barricade only seems to reduce the damage by about 50% for some weird reason. But yeah, you can reduce the incoming damage, or you can use a power burst of Vitality to double your HP, and you'll be fine. Just be sure to time it right, and not launch the attack early if you aren't ready yet. Now sadly, sometimes the attack will happen just before Zamorak launches you into this Zamorak realm, and you'll still get hit by the mechanic, even though you're inside. Now you can still counter it, but you won't see it coming if this is your first time, so I thought that was worth mentioning. So I believe between HP caps, once the HP turns grey, you'll be able to go inside the Zamorak realm by yourself by using the special action button. And you'll want to do this anyway, because if you don't do this, you won't be able to charge up another pad, and Zamorak's health won't go down because you'll just be stuck. So yeah, for that you just go inside, kill the NPC, click it again to go outside, and finish your Zamorak, go into the next phase, and charge up another pad, and you'll be fine. Most of the other mechanics are fairly straightforward and dodgeable, I think, but I'll be working on a full guide once I'm feeling better, and I'm going to need much more time for this guide anyway, because this boss has a lot of mechanics. So I hope you guys understand that I'm not going to be able to make a guide for this boss on release, especially not when sick. While my experience of the Elite Dungeon itself wasn't the best, after 25 runs I'll be able to skip it permanently, so I'm not too worried about it. The Zamorak boss itself though is an incredible amount of fun, and I can't wait to find out how it feels to take it on in a rage mode after I've done enough normal mode kills. Also be sure to share your experiences taking on the Elite Dungeon or the Zamorak boss down in the comments below. Also, before ending off the video, I want to show you guys this patch note, as it reduces the consumption rate of dineros quite significantly, which is important to know. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.